Hello, today I'm going to be showing you how to make a cool posterized line arty style animated graphic like this. And this is something you might have trouble with if you're new to Blender and animation and the sort, but it's really quite simple. So I'm going to head it into Blender and just go ahead and switch that to full screen. And we'll try and make snow for this. So I'm just going to get rid of the default cube. And I'm going to go over to user preferences, add add-ons, and then I'm just simply going to check extra objects, and I want, as usual, I forgot screencast keys because I've been having some audio card problems. I suspect that the phantom power in my audio card has started arcing around in there. So, yeah, not good. But anyway, let's carry on. So, I'm just going to add in extra objects, and for this, I'm just going to add in gear, just because it's kind of interesting, and I'm going to go and bridge those edge loops just to make it all nice and closed up. Okay, so we've got this here, so we're just going to set it smooth, get rid of all those nasty squares, and add an edge split so it looks geary. Then I'm going to move that over to the second layer. So all we need to do to make this animation is add a plane and bring it up a little bit. I'm going to bring it up quite a lot. And then I'm just going to go into top view and I'm going to grab our camera just so it's kind of in line with the plane there. Rotate it around, go into side view, rotate it up because I want a kind of flattish thing, and I'm just going to use the fly tool just to get the plane, or to get the camera where I want in relationship to the plane. And I find that kind of there nice. Grab it down a little bit more. Okay, that's good. We don't want the plane to be showing in the animation. So, there. And I'm going to go ahead and switch over to cycles. And I'm going to tick on ambient occlusion. Then I'm going to go over here to particles tab. I'm just going to bring this up a little bit. And go ahead and add a particle system and hit Alt-A to start playing it. Okay, so we've got these things. In Blender, particle systems, the particles render as these little squares. So from here on, I'm going to work from camera view, and we're going to be able to see what's happening with our particle system just from playing it through. Okay, so for the physics, I want it to be fluid. Now, one of the things with particle systems is there's a lot of options, so you've got to kind of grey everything out and be kind of mono-minded and look for what you want to look for. It's usually very clearly labelled, Sorry about that, I just dropped something. It's usually very clearly labeled. So the next thing that we want to look at is we want to look at the render, and we want to render an object, and the object we want to duplicate is our gear, which is there as gear. So if we press Alt A, now we can see if we zoom in here, we have lots of tiny little gears, which is good. Okay, but these gears, they're kind of all facing the same way, and we don't want that. So we just want to go ahead and tick on rotation and go back to the beginning and hit Alt A again. And that's getting us closer to what we want. And we want to add some random to that, just so that when we birth our particles, they all rotated randomly. Now, I think these gears are a little small, so what I can do to rectify that is just go over here, scale it up, and it will scale up there as well. So we've got this, and if we just go ahead and render a frame, render this image here, we can see kind of how we want, but we might want to put some color in there. And we can do this by moving over to our second layer. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add a diffuse shader, and I'm just going to make these red gears, solid red gears. And then I'm going to go ahead to our render settings, and what I want is I want to render with transparency set on in RGBA. So if I go ahead and render these again, wait, I'm in the wrong layer. I move over to 1 and render these again. This is displaying as black here, but if you wanted to take this out of Blender and into something else, or even into Blender, into its internal compositor, and then go ahead and put things under and over this, that'd be useful, because that's allowing the rendering of an image with alpha channels, and alpha channels are simply a transparency. They render black in Blender, which isn't my preferred rendering type. I prefer a checkerboard render, because then you can see that they're there. But yeah, so yeah, that's how to use a particle system to make a cool falling thingy. Now, one of the things about this, just quickly, that I found kind of confusing to start off with, but is really useful, if we go over to our fluid here and we just increase damp value, that will act as a controller for how quickly our particles are falling. And then if you find that you've got them slower and they're disappearing like this, is another issue you might find, is you just need to increase the lifetime of your particle. So I'm just going to go here and hit 200 and go back and restart those calculations, and we can see that they're coming in. If you want less of them, you just decrease the emission number, and that will render out slightly less particles. I think maybe 200 would be good. Just if you wanted like one layer of gears, so to speak, falling out, that's kind of fun. Yeah. Another thing that you might want to do is, if you don't just want one thing falling out, but you want two, you might just want to, I'm just going to go ahead and add a cube in here. I'm just going to select these two, and I'm going to hit Control G to make a group. If we go over to here and go back into our particle system, we can change our settings so we actually duplicate a group, and we just duplicate that group there. And now if we hit Alt A, we can see that we have squares and gears, and you can have as many or as few things, but yeah, that's how to kind of make cool things flying around the screen with a particle system. Thanks for watching. Please comment and ask if you would like a tutorial.